The search for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 by Ocean Infinity has been halted and is set to resume by the end of the year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the decision was made due to the current weather conditions being unsuitable for the search.
For 11 long years, the ocean has guarded a secret too deep for anyone to reach. Not a single piece of truth has surfaced until now. From the darkness below, a strange sonar pulse has emerged, echoing through the water like a whisper from another world. At the center of this mystery stands Dr. Vincent Lyne, a scientist who claims he has found a scar on the ocean floor, something no natural force could create. Could this mark be the final resting place of Flight MH370, or the beginning of an even darker mystery waiting beneath the waves? On the night of March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur and disappeared into the sky like a shadow swallowed by the dark. It was supposed to be a simple red-eye flight to Beijing, carrying 239 people, families, students, business travelers, but none of them ever reached their destination. No distress call was sent, no signal of trouble appeared on radar, and in less than an hour, the Boeing 777 had vanished without a trace. In that instant, it became one of the greatest mysteries in modern aviation history. For days, then weeks, search planes and ships scoured the South China Sea, the Andaman Sea, and later the vast emptiness of the Indian Ocean. Families waited at airports, clutching photos, hoping for a miracle. Governments released conflicting statements, and the media turned the story into a storm of theories. But as the days turned into months, the truth only drifted further away. The ocean became both a grave and a guardian, hiding whatever fate had befallen the passengers and crew. For the families left behind, the waiting became a punishment. Every new report, each one claiming possible debris or fresh signal, brought hope that soon turned into heartbreak. Parents grew old in front of television screens. Children who were toddlers when the plane vanished grew up without answers. Many of them still keep the same phone numbers active, afraid to delete the contact in case one day someone calls back. The tragedy also cast a long shadow over the aviation world. How could a modern aircraft, tracked by satellites and radar, simply disappear? Air traffic systems were designed to prevent exactly that, yet MH370 showed how fragile those systems truly were. Experts began to question not only the safety of technology, but also the limits of human understanding. The event exposed the uncomfortable truth that even in an age of constant connection, there are still blind spots big enough to swallow an entire airplane. Over the years, fragments of the aircraft washed ashore on beaches across the Indian Ocean, pieces of a wing, a flaperon, and bits of interior paneling. Each discovery reignited the search, but none could tell the whole story. The wreckage was silent, offering no clear evidence of what really happened that night. Investigators could only speculate, piecing together the puzzle from scattered debris and faint satellite data. The official reports ended the same way every theory did: inconclusive. Now, 11 years later, that silence may finally be breaking. A strange signal has been detected deep beneath the Indian Ocean, one that doesn't match any known geological pattern. It came from an area long believed to be MH370's final route. And for the first time in years, experts and families alike dare to believe that the truth might still be waiting below. Could this signal be the missing piece the world has been waiting for, or just another illusion from the depths? In the long silence that followed MH370's disappearance, one man refused to give up. Dr. Vincent Lyne, a former researcher at the University of Tasmania, spent years studying the data others had overlooked. He was not a conspiracy theorist or a dreamer chasing ghosts. He was a scientist who believed that every mystery, no matter how deep, could leave a trace if you knew where to look. While others argued over rumors and political blame, Lyne focused on what the ocean itself had recorded. His research began with satellite data and drift modeling, the same tools used to predict how ocean currents move debris. He mapped the Indian Ocean floor using public and private databases, compiling one of the most detailed digital terrains ever made. Then, one night in late 2024, as he was analyzing new sonar data released by Ocean Infinity, he noticed something that stopped him cold, a single bright pixel that stood out against the endless blue of the seabed. To most people, it was nothing, just random noise or a glitch in the data. But to Lyne, who had spent years decoding patterns, it looked deliberate, as if something massive had struck the ocean floor and left behind a scar. He zoomed in, layer by layer, refining the image through a series of filters. What emerged was a depression shaped unlike any known geological formation. It was not the slow curve of a volcanic ridge or the scatter of rocks from a slide. It looked like impact damage, the kind created when a large metallic body hits the seabed at high speed. Lyne ran simulations comparing the shape of the crater with the size and weight of a Boeing 777. The results were chilling. The dimensions matched almost perfectly. When he published his findings online, the response was explosive. Some scientists dismissed the claim as premature, arguing that sonar reflections can be deceptive at such depths. But others, including several oceanographers and former aviation investigators, admitted that the coordinates Lyne provided lined up alarmingly well with refined Inmarsat satellite paths and verified debris drift models. For the first time in years, a lead didn't contradict existing data, it reinforced it. The story spread quickly, reaching journalists, research teams, and even families of the victims who had long lost hope. Ocean Infinity reviewed the coordinates and confirmed that the anomaly lay in an unscanned corridor, one missed in the earlier search due to equipment limitations. The signal's reflective pattern also indicated a dense object, possibly metallic, sitting on the seabed among rocky ridges. This was not something nature usually left behind. Dr. Lyne himself remained cautious. He didn't claim certainty, only probability. To him, this anomaly might not just be evidence of wreckage, it could be the key to rewriting the entire story of MH370. If confirmed, it would prove that the aircraft didn't drift aimlessly, but ended its journey in one precise, catastrophic moment. The world had heard countless theories, but none supported by a scar on the ocean floor. Now that the data pointed to a real location, the question shifted from if MH370 would be found to when. Could this strange mark finally lead humanity to the truth it had been chasing for more than a decade? To explore a place as unforgiving as the deep Indian Ocean, humans needed tools that could think, move, and see where no diver could survive. At the heart of this new era of exploration stands the Armada 7806, a ship built in Norway in 2023 and operated by Ocean Infinity. It is not a normal research vessel, but a floating command center, 78 meters long, equipped with machines designed to travel nearly 4 miles down into a world of pressure, silence, and darkness. From its decks, the ship deploys a fleet of robotic submarines known as Autonomous Underwater Vehicles, or AUVS, the true pioneers of the search for MH370. Each of these AUVS is about the size of a small bus and packed with technology that turns sound into sight. They can dive to depths of 6,000 meters and stay underwater for up to 100 hours, mapping and scanning the seabed with precision no human eye could match. Unlike traditional submersibles that rely on surface control, these machines navigate on their own, following preset grids and adjusting to terrain as they go. Once released, they glide silently through the water, sweeping vast sections of the ocean floor and recording everything in their path. The secret to their power lies in the sonar systems. They carry 4 distinct instruments working together like the senses of a living organism. The side-scan sonar acts as their wide vision, sending sound waves that bounce off the seabed and reveal the outlines of large objects. The synthetic aperture sonar adds the details, creating images sharp enough to show patterns as small as a few centimeters. Then comes the multi-beam sonar, which paints a full 3D picture of the ocean floor, transforming miles of raw data into topographic landscapes. Finally, the sub-bottom profiler looks beneath the surface itself, using low-frequency waves to detect shapes buried under layers of sediment. Together, these systems make the invisible visible, allowing scientists to read the ocean like a story written in sound. But the technology's true brilliance lies not only in collecting data, but in how it interprets it. When the AUVs complete a mission, they return to the Armada 7806, where engineers merge thousands of sonar sweeps into a single high-resolution map. If an anomaly appears something that doesn't match natural formations, the drones are redeployed, this time with powerful lights and cameras to capture direct evidence. This process repeats again and again, each pass refining the picture until every possibility has been either proven or dismissed. Ocean Infinity has already used this method to locate the wrecks of lost submarines and warships, including Argentina's ARA San Juan and a U.S. Navy vessel from World War II. Those successes prove that the system works even in the most hostile environments. Now that same technology has turned its focus back to MH370, with more computing power, more endurance, and a sharper sense for what lies hidden below. The machines have finally caught up with the mystery, and for the first time, humans are no longer searching blind. Yet even with these advances, one question remains. Can technology truly conquer the ocean's silence, or will it only reveal how little we still understand about the world beneath us? In December 2024, after years of silence, the Malaysian government made a bold decision. The search for Flight MH370 would begin again. This time, it would not be led by a government agency, but by a private company with a record of success in deep-sea operations, Ocean Infinity. The deal was as daring as it was unusual. Under a no-find, no-fee contract, Ocean Infinity would bear the full cost of the mission, but if they located the wreckage, they would receive a payment of $70 million. It was a high-risk, high-reward gamble, one that promised closure to hundreds of families and redemption for a mystery that had haunted the world for more than a decade. The new mission began on February 25, 2025, in a region west of Perth, Australia, covering about 15,000 square kilometers of ocean. This area was not chosen randomly. It was the intersection point of multiple layers of evidence: refined satellite data from Inmarsat, updated drift models predicting debris movement, and new sonar anomalies like the one discovered by Dr. Vincent Lyne. All paths seemed to lead to this corridor of the southern Indian Ocean, a place that had defeated every search attempt before, but now held renewed promise. The Armada 7806 set sail with its fleet of autonomous drones, each programmed to scan deep ridges, trenches, and plains thousands of meters below the surface. Every launch was a leap into darkness. The drones had to withstand crushing pressures, unpredictable currents, and long hours without human contact. From the surface, engineers watched the data flow back in real time, each sonar sweep building a clearer image of the seabed. For the first time, they could see with a level of precision that was almost surgical. As the search entered its second month, the ocean proved why it was called the planet's final frontier. Storms rolled across the Indian Ocean, whipping waves to dangerous heights. Gale force winds made drone retrieval nearly impossible, and several missions had to be aborted. By April 2025, the decision was made to pause the operation until calmer conditions returned. To some, this pause felt like failure, but to the team aboard the Armada 7806, it was strategy. They had already gathered enough data to map vast sections of the ocean floor that had never been charted before. Every scan, every anomaly recorded would guide the next phase of the search with greater accuracy. What made this mission different from the ones before was its mindset. This was not a government operation slowed by politics or budget. It was a scientific endeavor driven by precision, technology, and human determination. The people behind it were not chasing glory, they were chasing truth. For them, the discovery of MH370 was not only about solving a mystery, but about restoring faith in human persistence. Now, as the ship prepares to return once more to the deep in late 2025, the stakes could not be higher. If the wreckage lies within this mapped zone, the world may finally learn what happened on that night in March 2014. But if the ocean holds its silence again, humanity will have to face a haunting question. How far are we willing to go to find answers buried beneath the waves? For more than a decade, the mystery of Flight MH370 has spawned countless theories, each trying to explain how a modern aircraft could vanish without a trace. Some ideas are grounded in data, others in speculation, but all share one haunting question: what really happened that night in March 2014? Even with advanced technology and years of investigation, no single explanation has ever been proven beyond doubt. Instead, several competing theories continue to divide experts, families, and the public alike. The first and perhaps most widely accepted theory is known as the ghost flight hypothesis. It suggests that a sudden loss of cabin pressure may have rendered everyone on board unconscious while the plane continued flying on autopilot. If the crew failed to descend in time, they would have run out of oxygen within minutes, leaving the aircraft to drift silently for hours before running out of fuel. When the engines finally died, it would have glided uncontrollably into the southern Indian Ocean. This explanation fits some satellite data, but not all. The complex course changes detected early in the flight show deliberate navigation, not a drifting machine. For that reason, even those who find this theory logical struggle to believe it fully. The second and most controversial idea points to Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, the pilot in command. According to this theory, the disappearance was no accident, but a calculated act. Investigators found that Zahari's personal flight simulator contained a route eerily similar to MH370's suspected final path into the remote Southern Ocean. Although the data alone could not prove intent, the resemblance was too striking to ignore. Supporters of this theory argue that the plane's early turns and altitude changes were too precise to be random, suggesting human control long after the transponder went dark. If true, it would make MH370 one of the most chilling cases of deliberate aviation destruction in history. Yet, no clear motive was ever found, and Zahari's friends and colleagues continue to defend his professionalism and character. A third explanation, supported by several engineers and crash investigators, is the controlled ditching theory. This view proposes that the pilot may have attempted a deliberate landing on the ocean surface to minimize the force of impact. Fragments of debris recovered along African shores showed limited breakage, suggesting a slower, more controlled descent rather than a violent crash. If correct, it would mean the aircraft entered the water largely intact, sinking to the seabed in one piece, explaining why sonar searches have struggled to detect widespread debris. However, not everyone agrees. Some researchers have proposed alternative scenarios, including electronic interference, hijacking, or even a military accident covered up to prevent scandal. Others, like geologists skeptical of the sonar anomaly, argue that the new signals might be nothing more than a collapsed volcanic structure mistaken for wreckage. Without physical confirmation, every idea remains a possibility suspended between science and imagination. But as the evidence builds and technology digs deeper into the Indian Ocean, the world is getting closer to separating myth from truth. And when that moment comes, one final question will decide the story's ending. Was MH370 lost to human error, deliberate action, or forces far beyond our control? The hunt for Flight MH370 became more than an investigation. It became a test of human endurance, technology, and willpower. Over the years, governments, scientists, and private teams united in one of the most ambitious deep-sea searches in history. They mapped more than 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor, an area larger than South Korea, using aircraft, ships, satellites, and underwater drones. The cost reached more than $150 million, but what they discovered went far beyond one missing plane. The operation involved 3 major countries, Malaysia, Australia, and China, each contributing resources and expertise. Specialized vessels crisscrossed the southern Indian Ocean for months, scanning every ridge and trench. Teams of analysts worked day and night, decoding satellite handshakes and radar echoes, trying to predict where the aircraft might have fallen. But the deeper the search went, the stranger the ocean became. The seabed was rugged and unpredictable, filled with volcanic ridges, underwater landslides, and geological scars no human had ever seen before. Many parts of the mapped region had never been visited or even imagined before this mission. One of the most unique aspects of the search was the TomNod project, a global effort that allowed millions of people to help analyze satellite photos online. Volunteers from around the world scanned endless stretches of blue, hoping to spot floating debris or metallic reflections. It became the largest crowdsourced search in human history, a reminder that technology alone could not solve the mystery. It needed human eyes and hope. For a brief moment, the entire world was united by a single goal: to find answers for the 239 souls who vanished that night. Though the physical search was eventually suspended in 2017, its results changed science forever. The mission produced detailed maps of the ocean floor, revealing hidden mountain ranges, new ecosystems, and geological formations previously unknown to researchers. In a sense, the search for MH370 expanded our understanding of the planet more than any other single ocean expedition in the modern age. It proved that even failure can lead to discovery, and that the human drive to seek truth can turn tragedy into progress. But the human cost was immense. Every time the search paused, hundreds of families were left waiting, trapped between hope and despair. For them, each new expedition was both a light and a wound reopening. Yet despite the pain, they never stopped believing that answers existed somewhere beneath the waves. Their persistence became a quiet symbol of what it means to be human, to keep searching, even when the sea refuses to speak. Now, as technology once again dives into the abyss, the question lingers: if the wreckage is finally found, will the truth bring peace, or will it open a mystery even deeper than before? For the families who have waited 11 long years, finding MH370 would mean more than closure. It would mean peace. After more than a decade of silence, knowing the final resting place of the plane would allow loved ones to hold real funerals and end years of uncertainty. Children who once watched the news in confusion would finally have an answer, and the world could begin to heal from one of aviation's darkest mysteries. But the discovery would also open a new chapter, one filled with consequences, responsibilities, and truth that might change global aviation forever. For the families, the emotional impact would be enormous. Grief would finally have a place to rest, no longer floating between denial and hope. The wreckage could confirm who was on board, what happened in those final moments, and how they spent their last hours. It would allow the memory of the victims to be honored properly, not as names on a list, but as people whose lives shaped the world around them. Yet, with that peace would come pain. Seeing the wreck could reignite memories long buried, and for some, closure might come with the heavy weight of knowing too much. For the aviation industry, the implications would be just as profound. If investigators could recover the black boxes, the flight data recorder, and cockpit voice recorder, they might finally uncover the exact sequence of events that led to the disappearance. Was it mechanical failure, human error, or deliberate action? Each possibility would carry massive consequences. If the cause were technical, aircraft manufacturers could face pressure to redesign systems or enhance global tracking methods. If it were human, stricter rules might reshape cockpit security, mental health monitoring, and global flight surveillance. Every answer would force the world to confront uncomfortable truths about safety and trust in the skies. Beyond the technical side, the discovery would raise questions about accountability. Governments could face lawsuits for negligence, especially over early delays and misinformation during the first days of the disappearance. Some nations might be forced to admit political or military errors, reigniting debates that have long been buried under diplomacy. The recovery of MH370 would not just reveal facts, it would expose the world's failures in how it responded to tragedy. On a larger scale, the rediscovery of the aircraft would remind humanity of its limits. It would show that even in an age of satellites, GPS, and instant communication, the Earth still holds secrets deep enough to hide a Boeing 777. The ocean would once again prove that technology cannot fully conquer nature, only respect it. MH370 would no longer be just a case file, it would become a warning, a symbol of how fragile our systems truly are. And yet, one question would remain. After all the debris is mapped and the data is read, if the truth finally rises from the deep, will it bring peace or will it reveal something we were never meant to find? MH370 is more than a missing plane. It is a mirror reflecting how little we truly understand our own world. For all our satellites, maps, and machines, the ocean still holds secrets stronger than human certainty. It has swallowed metal, memory, and time, yet it continues to whisper to those who dare to listen. Perhaps that is the true legacy of MH370, a reminder that knowledge always comes at a cost and that some answers lie deeper than we are ready to go. What do you think really happened to flight MH370? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more untold mysteries waiting to surface.